Here at AuthenTech Edge Consulting, we acknowledge that our work takes place on unceded lands of the traditional Aboriginal custodians, the Yugambeh language peoples within the Gold Coast of Australia. We also invite you to reflect on the land you live and work on and encourage you to research and learn about its traditional custodians.
Welcome to Authentic Life and Business, the podcast where we delve into the journey of staying true to yourself while building a thriving business. I'm your co-host, Anna.
And I'm Tanga. Each week, join us as we uncover powerful insights, share transformative strategies, and tell inspiring stories to help you create a business that not only aligns with your values, but also amplifies your impact.
Welcome to episode number 2, where we are going to discuss navigating the transition to entrepreneurship. So if you're catching us on the podcast, welcome. If you're watching us on YouTube, welcome. It's great to have you join us. Episode number 2, my goodness. We're survived. I feel like we're bad at this. Already starting to feel a bit more confident. We're only at number 2. Imagine what it will be like in a month's time.
Yeah.
I'm going to let Tanya get straight on into this. So we're going to discuss, provide some practical tips on making that transition from, being an employee to having your own private practice, so your own small business. Tanya, if you want to just, run through your experience, maybe share some highs and lows, and some practical tips for those who are interested in starting their own business.
Yeah. This is a really big topic. So I'm going to really try and focus in mainly on the top 3 even. And I'm going to also come from a lens of a financial coach, right? Because a lot of the fears of us holding on to a job that gives us perceived security of income and money can really be stopping us from stepping into what it is or the version of the practice that we want to create. And so probably that brings up the first key point here is notice. Notice when you are already starting to feel stressed because you're not happy with the environment that you're working in, right? And for many of us, that could look like resisting going to work, feeling bullied at work. There could be a number of different things that, a job that you might have enjoyed in the past suddenly has changed. Yeah. So I would always encourage you, because what actually happens in our system, and this is, I'm going to fall back into my trauma-informed money coaching, is that our system isn't able to think creatively. So when we are feeling stressed and we're staying in a job only because of money and because it's the only thing that's going to pay for debt, our frontal cortex flips out, right? And that means that we don't have access to that part of our brain to plan forward. So the danger is that we can, and this is what I did before I realized what was happening, shiny object. I was like over what was going on at work. I could visualize myself doing more. And so I was really just grabbing at shiny objects. And that was really impacting on finances because we weren't really going anywhere. I was borrowing for things again. And so when you're not thinking clearly and sitting in that safe space, the first thing is to notice what's happening, and the second thing is to breathe. Start to feel safe again. Know that you have the capabilities of stepping into your own thing. What are your thoughts on that from your experience?
Oh, yeah, 100%. It's almost like, for me, I felt really scattered. Once I was introduced to this idea of, and this is going back, 6 years ago, of being introduced to this idea of being able to start my own business, I almost immediately tuned out at work, like I started to see everything from a different lens, and it became really difficult to go to work, my 9 to 5 job. And at the time, I was a call center team leader. It changes your perspective, but then also the fear starts to come through of, oh, I'm not good enough, or, oh, it's just too complicated. I'm not going to be able to do it. So that you just stay safe.
And the tip for that I've begun to learn and just working with clients is it doesn't have to be a massive step. It could be, what's the one thing that I can do this month to start shifting into what it is that I want? And you might not even know what that is. That might be a piece. It might be such a strong feeling that you're not happy where you are. It's causing a lot of stress and heartache, that you're getting quite bitey, those types of things. But there is one thing that you can do. It could be listen to a podcast. Start, getting yourself into environments where you can start to think outside where you are now. Because if, we hear this all the time, right? You are the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with. 5, 7, 8, 10, whatever, So get into an environment where there's plenty of free things available where you can start to explore what it could look like to go elsewhere. The other thing, big thing, is real. It's a real thing. The issue around finances is real, right? And so the worst thing you can do is stop everything and just go, that's it. I'm chucking the towel and I'm going, right? There is actually a way that you can transition safely into your own business. And it's going to take you working out, how can I do the job that I'm doing part-time? Well, firstly, actually go back a step, is to work out what it is that you need to earn, or your household needs to earn, in order to cover your basic needs: roof over your head, food on the table, basic connections, basic repayments on loans. What's the minimum you need to get in your household? And think outside the square, because your partners, or someone else might be helping you contribute to that. And so when you reverse engineer what you need to, you might actually find, well, heck, I actually don't need to be working full time, or I could be earning that amount of money a different way. All right. So Sam and I actually started, because we were both working full time already. So we started commercial cleaning. We were cleaning for an extra $300 a month. And some people go, you're crazy. Why would you do that for $300 a month? Guess what? That was $300 over and above what we were doing. And we only did it for 6 months. So start to train your brain to think outside of what's in front of you.
Yeah, so true. If your environment is not in alignment with where you envision yourself to be, what you dream, what your ideal day is, you can kiss that ideal day goodbye. It's if I think back to 6 years ago when I first started even considering doing my own thing, I just remember looking around me, my physical environment, and just thinking, I need to change this. I absolutely need to change this. The people around me are not reflecting what I envision my ideal day to be. Therefore, I was going onto YouTube. I was looking for motivational, videos to get me through. I was listening to podcasts. Tony Robbins, he was the first mentor, or the first person in this, personal development space that I listened to. And something happens to your brain, and you have all of these different positive inputs, and you change that environment. So, at this point in time for you, you may not be able to change your physical environment, but you can absolutely change what you're listening into. Even Instagram, who are the people that you're following?
Yeah.
If you're wanting to create your own business, to have the flexibility to, see a certain amount of clients charge, accordingly, so that, again, what Tana was saying, it's, meeting all your needs, your basic needs plus more. What do you need to do, and who are the people that you need to be surrounded by in order to create that belief that you can do that? Yeah, it's such a huge topic, and I feel really passionate about it too. You might be able to sort of pick up on that energy.
I'm tearing up.
It does sadden me, and I've got friends, I've got family even, who are just so talented, and they have the skill set to be able to branch off and do their own thing and earn triple what they're earning as an employee. But the thing that stops them is their mindset, and just not having the belief that they can do it, and not creating, an appropriate environment so that they can win. Anyway.
Love it. I so love it. And it's not our fault. If you think about all of the layers of conditioning that have created this idea that, you study, you get a good education, you go to uni or college or whatever it is, and then you get a good job, right? That's just so inbred in us, even before we even realize it. So when we start to peel back those things, who do you go to for advice? You go to the people who actually believe that so much that they're going to tell you're a friggin' idiot. Right? Don't start thinking like that. You need to be safe. And so I would always encourage you to reach out for that light, for that hope, like what Anna was describing there. It is hope. When you start to get information and resources outside of this environment that's keeping you where you are, they feel safe that you're there. So when you start asking questions to break out of the pond that you're in, you're going to get a lot of resistance and a lot of reasons why you shouldn't do it.
Yeah.
Right. So that's another key thing. I think we've covered on several different themes there, but if this is resonating with you, keep going, keep asking questions, change the I can't do this to how can I do this? Because those are simple little steps that will open that mind up to receive more. Probably the third thing that I think of that really comes to mind is if you feel like you're going to get burnt out if you start a side hustle, it's actually the other way around. Right? I'll explain it this way. When you're feeling burnt out in a job, and Simon Sinek says this really well, the energy of when you're doing something that you resist and you're forced to do is an energy that brings you down. When you're doing something that is passion-based, that it lights you up, those are the things that you could be doing for hours that someone's going, go to bed. And you're just like, no, just one more, just a little bit more. That's a different energy. And so when you take on this, and I found this myself, when you take on just a small side thing, whatever that could be, a small version of what you want to do, I find that actually almost allows the energy, or balances out the energy of the thing that you've got to keep going to cover your basic needs. Does that make sense? Yeah. So when you're in the negative, you're almost like, that's okay, I'll put up with this because right now I get to go home and do the thing that I'm happy with, or I get to only do this for another year and then I'll be good, I'll be able to transition fully. But now I feel really inspired by this other thing that I'm doing on the side. How's that landed?
Love that. So something just came up for me as you were talking, and this is really specific for therapists out there who are, really driven by this idea of helping others, serving others in the community. And there's almost like this stigma around being financially rewarded as a therapist. Right? There's just something around, money's not the thing. I'm a therapist. I want to be able to serve the community.
Yes.
That is 100% great. And I love that. However, that mindset needs to shift in terms of if you can even charge a little bit more than what you're currently charging, it actually benefits the community by you doing that, because then you can create more impact. You know, you've got the energy to be able to create more impact. You can take on, more clients and be financially rewarded. And I think that also touches on burnout too. When you're not
Mm.
charging appropriately for your services, it's almost like this resentment can be created because you're not charging accordingly. So,
Big one. That's a big one.
and I think that's a topic in itself for another day
Oh,
in terms
and
of,
I think just as we're talking about breaking free or stepping out of the perceived safety of an hourly rate, um, again, it's part of that layer of conditioning that, oh, you go for a job and the job says that you're valued, your services, your time is valued at $30 an hour. And so we get used to this. And we even hear, I remember saying it myself, oh, I'm now worth $50 an hour. Yay. You know, and in fact, a family member said, oh, so-and-so is earning $500,000. He's doing really well. And I would have jumped on that and also said, oh my goodness, that's huge. My mindset now is, oh, I feel sorry for him because the more he earns, the more they own him. They own his time. Right. And let that sit with you.
goodness me, it's a big topic. And if you can't feel the energy vibe right now, it's something that Tana and I are really, really passionate about, helping people make that transition from, being an employee and having to sacrifice. Yes, I will say sacrifice time because that's what you're doing at the moment in order to earn, that hourly wage. Once you make that transition to, charging accordingly based on, your skill set, it's a complete game changer. And I'm really honored to be able to serve the people, in our consulting space and in the mental health space, because it's just needed now more than ever in our community.
Now more than ever.
As a collective, we need people out there to be able to, help in this space. So the more people that we can help, the more of an impact we have as well, to our community. So
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Oh, it is. And, the thing that comes up for me is when my husband said we had to go and get an see an ear specialist, we were seriously in there 15 minutes and that was $300. Right. And I remember Sam goes, oh my God, that was literally 15 minutes. And there's also a story on one of the artists like that as well. Actually, no, you're paying for his study, his practice, all of the things that he's managed to learn and dedicate time to and practice, so that he could do it within 15 minutes and do a great job because he's never had to go back.
yeah. So our episode is about navigating the transition to entrepreneurship. And I did say that we'd give some practical tips. I think Tana really stuck to that. And I don't think I've actually added any practical tips myself. Don't feel like it's too hard just because you don't know how to put yourself out there, how to build a website, all those sorts of things. There are the resources available out there. If you're listening, you've obviously found our podcast or you found us on YouTube. So tap into those different platforms. YouTube is a great resource for, being able to learn what things are available for me to learn, what courses, online courses is, that's where we started. Tana and I, we learned how to build our websites, our marketing, how to do advertising, all these things we learned online. So whatever you do, if you feel even that's just the slightest little, hint of wanting to pursue your own private practice, just one step at a time, as Tanya mentioned, just the smallest thing. What's one thing that you can do today that will move you forward? Maybe it's just jumping on YouTube and typing in how to start my own private practice. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
You'll be amazed. Yeah, you'll be amazed all the resources that come at you once you start, checking it out and looking for it.
yeah. But on that note, I think we've sort of covered as much as we can in this episode on this topic. But if you do have any questions in terms of, your personal circumstances, please feel free to reach out to us. I will leave our email address in the description field of the podcast and YouTube if you're watching us. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to be able to support you in making that transition. So the other thing as well, if we are not connected on the socials, major socials, you can find us at AuthenTech, TECH, Edge Consulting. We'll see you next week for the next episode.
Yeah. Can you believe it already?
I know. All right.
Amazing.
Thanks for joining us. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us today. If you liked this episode, please hit subscribe and let us know in the comments below if there's a topic you'd like us to discuss in the upcoming episode. If we're not already connected on the major socials, you can find us at AuthenTech Edge Consulting. We'll see you in the next episode.